Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Easy English Podcast, where learning feels like sitting with friends instead of studying in a classroom. If you are listening while drinking coffee, walking outside, or relaxing on your bed, you are already in the perfect place. Today, we are going to discover how 15 simple minutes can completely change your English without changing your busy life.
Before we begin, I want you to answer one honest question, because almost every English learner has experienced this problem before. Have you ever spent one whole hour watching English videos and still felt that your speaking did not improve at all? If you smiled or nodded your head, stay with us, because today's conversation is made especially for you.
I remember buying notebooks, colorful pens, vocabulary cards, and even making beautiful study schedules every Sunday evening. Everything looked perfect until Monday arrived, and suddenly my motivation disappeared faster than my favorite chocolate cookies. Sometimes I think my motivation secretly packs a suitcase and goes on vacation without inviting me.
That happens to more people than you can imagine, because motivation is wonderful, but it is also very unreliable. Some mornings you wake up excited to practice English, and other mornings you can't even find your headphones. Building a habit is much stronger than waiting for inspiration, because habits quietly work even on lazy days.
Imagine brushing your teeth every morning, because nobody stands in front of the mirror asking whether it is worth doing today. You simply pick up the toothbrush, spend a few minutes cleaning your teeth, and continue with the rest of your day. English practice should become exactly like that, because small daily actions create amazing long-term results.
Many learners believe they need expensive courses, native speakers, and several free hours before they can improve seriously. The reality is much simpler, because your bedroom, your kitchen, and even your bathroom can become English classrooms. Your biggest teacher is not a building or a textbook, but the habit you repeat every single day.
Let's imagine that tomorrow morning you wake up 15 minutes earlier and decide to make one small change. Instead of opening social media, you put on your headphones and listen carefully to a short English conversation. Without realizing it, your brain has already started learning before breakfast is even ready.
I love that idea, because mornings are quiet and my brain still believes I am a responsible adult for a few minutes. Later in the day, I suddenly become interested in snacks, random videos, and organizing things that never needed organizing. Apparently, cleaning the same desk 5 times feels more productive than opening an English podcast.
Let's make this episode interactive, because learning becomes much more enjoyable when everyone participates together. Look around the room and choose one object that is close to you without spending too much time thinking. Keep that object in your mind, because we are going to use it for our very first speaking exercise.
I'm looking at a small notebook with a purple cover that has traveled with me to almost every coffee shop in town. The pages are full of ideas, strange drawings, shopping lists, and English sentences that I never wanted to forget. If this notebook could speak, it would probably ask me to write a little more neatly.
My object is a simple glass of water sitting quietly beside my laptop while I record this conversation today. It looks clear, cold, refreshing, and honestly much healthier than the giant cup of coffee I wanted earlier. See how easily we created several complete English sentences without opening a dictionary or grammar book.
Now I want every listener to describe their object using only easy words that already exist inside their vocabulary. Do not search for difficult expressions, because simple language spoken confidently is always better than silence. The goal today is speaking naturally instead of sounding perfect, because perfection usually scares people away.
Many learners secretly compare themselves with people who have studied English for 5 or 10 years already. They forget that every confident speaker once struggled with pronunciation, vocabulary, and simple introductions, just like everyone else. Comparison steals your confidence, while daily practice quietly builds it one conversation at a time.
When I first started learning another language, I translated every single sentence inside my head before speaking aloud. By the time I finally answered a simple question, the conversation had already moved to a completely different topic. My brain was working very hard, but unfortunately, it was also moving incredibly slowly.
That is why practicing alone is so powerful, because nobody interrupts you and nobody judges your pronunciation mistakes. You can repeat the same sentence 10 times, change one word, and try again until everything feels comfortable. Confidence grows faster when you give yourself permission to learn without feeling embarrassed.
Here comes your first 15-minute challenge, and I promise it's much easier than you might expect today. Spend 5 minutes listening carefully, 5 minutes speaking out loud, and 5 minutes writing 3 simple sentences. This tiny routine may look ordinary now, but it has the power to transform your English over the coming months.
Close your eyes for 1 second and imagine yourself 6 months from today speaking English without fear or hesitation. Imagine introducing yourself naturally, ordering coffee confidently, and smiling instead of worrying about mistakes. That future version of you is created by the tiny choices you make during the next 15 minutes every day.
People often ask me for secret techniques that will make them fluent in one weekend without much effort at all. I always disappoint them by explaining that consistency is much more magical than shortcuts or complicated study methods. The good news is that consistency becomes easier every time you repeat the same simple habit.
Before we continue, write one sentence in the comments describing what you're doing while listening to this episode. Maybe you are cooking dinner, traveling on a bus, cleaning your room, or relaxing with your favorite drink nearby. Every English sentence you write today is another small victory that deserves to be celebrated.
We're just getting started because the next section will show you how ordinary daily activities become powerful speaking exercises. You'll learn how mirrors, windows, coffee mugs, and even your morning walk can improve your English naturally. So stay with us because your easiest English habit might begin before this conversation is even finished.
Welcome back, everyone, because the best thing about learning English is that every small step makes the next step feel easier. You do not need a perfect accent, perfect grammar, or perfect confidence before you start speaking every single day. You only need a little curiosity and 15 quiet minutes that belong completely to you.
I used to believe that learning English meant sitting at a desk with 10 books and 5 colorful notebooks around me. After 20 minutes, I usually became hungry, checked my phone, or suddenly remembered that my room needed cleaning. My brain was apparently searching for every possible excuse except actually practicing English.
That happens because our brains naturally choose comfortable activities instead of difficult challenges whenever they have the chance. The trick is making English feel so simple that your brain stops treating it like a big, scary project. When practice feels light and enjoyable, consistency becomes much easier than motivation alone.
Let's pretend that you are making breakfast and there is nobody else in the kitchen except you and your imagination today. Instead of staying silent, describe everything you see using easy English words that already live inside your vocabulary. This simple exercise quietly trains your speaking muscles without making you feel like you are studying at all.
You could say that the coffee smells wonderful, the bread looks fresh, and the eggs are cooking very slowly today. Then you can continue by explaining what you plan to eat and why breakfast is your favorite meal of the day. Congratulations, because you just completed a natural English conversation with yourself before leaving the house.
I actually talk to myself while cooking because nobody is around to complain about my terrible pronunciation mistakes. Sometimes I proudly explain my recipe in English while accidentally burning the toast on both sides at once. Apparently, my vocabulary improves much faster than my cooking skills every single week.
Now imagine that you are getting ready for work or school while standing in front of your bedroom mirror. Instead of checking your hair for the 10th time, introduce yourself like you are meeting someone new today. Speak clearly, smile naturally, and look directly into your own eyes without feeling embarrassed.
Hello, my name is Peter, and I enjoy simple conversations that make learning English feel relaxed and comfortable. Today, I am feeling positive because I know that every sentence I speak makes me a little more confident. Tomorrow, I will speak again because progress belongs to people who continue even on ordinary days.
Notice something interesting because those sentences are not difficult and they do not contain advanced vocabulary either. They are useful, natural, and connected to real life instead of complicated grammar examples from old textbooks. That is exactly the type of English your brain remembers and uses during real conversations.
Many learners spend hours memorizing long vocabulary lists that disappear from their memory only a few days later. Instead of collecting 50 new words, choose one useful word and use it again and again throughout your day. One familiar word is much more valuable than 20 forgotten words hiding inside a notebook.
Let's choose the word confident because it is useful for work, travel, friendships, and almost every conversation imaginable. You can say that you feel confident, want to become confident, or admire someone who speaks confidently in public. Repeating one practical word in different situations helps it become part of your natural vocabulary forever.
Now I have a funny little challenge that might surprise everyone listening to this episode together today. Pretend your favorite chair is your best English friend and explain how your entire morning has been so far. It sounds a little silly, but confidence often grows when nobody is judging your mistakes.
Some people sing in the shower without worrying whether they sound like professional musicians or not at all. Speaking English alone should feel exactly the same because practice is private and improvement happens quietly every day. Nobody becomes fluent by waiting for permission to start using the language confidently.
I once spent almost 15 minutes explaining my weekend plans to a small plant sitting beside my computer desk. The plant listened very patiently, interrupted absolutely nothing, and honestly gave better eye contact than most people. That little practice session made me realize that consistency matters much more than having a perfect partner.
Your imagination is one of the strongest learning tools you already own, and it costs absolutely nothing to use. Imagine ordering coffee, asking for directions, introducing yourself, or checking into a hotel somewhere around the world. Every imaginary conversation prepares your brain for a real conversation that might happen one day.
Let's practice together because listening without speaking is like watching someone else exercise at the gym every afternoon. You understand what is happening, but your own muscles never become stronger until you finally start moving yourself. Your mouth needs daily practice just as much as your ears and your brain need daily listening.
Repeat after me because simple repetition creates confidence much faster than silent reading inside your head every evening. Today, I feel motivated. I enjoy learning English, and I believe small habits create extraordinary long-term results. Say those sentences again with a smile, because your voice deserves to become familiar with English every day.
If you miss one practice session, please do not spend the entire week feeling guilty about that small mistake. Successful learners simply return the next day instead of waiting for another perfect Monday to begin again. Progress is built by people who restart quickly instead of people who never make mistakes.
Before we move into the next section, I want every listener to make one tiny promise to themselves today. Promise that tomorrow you will give your English only 15 honest minutes without expecting instant perfection or miracles. 6 months from now, you will quietly thank yourself for keeping that simple promise alive every day.
Stay with us because the next part is going to transform ordinary daily activities into enjoyable English-speaking games. You'll discover that walking outside, shopping for groceries, and looking through your window can become free lessons. By the end of this episode, your entire day will feel like one long and natural English classroom.
Welcome back, everyone, because every minute you spend listening and speaking today is an investment in your future confidence. One day you will look back and realize that these small conversations quietly transformed the way you communicate forever. The best part is that you are improving right now without sitting in a classroom or taking an exam.
I have another question for everyone listening while driving, walking, cooking, or secretly avoiding work for a few minutes. If you suddenly met your favorite actor or singer, could you introduce yourself in English without feeling nervous? Most people know the words, but their confidence decides to disappear at exactly the wrong moment. Confidence is very similar to a muscle because it becomes stronger every single time you decide to use it. If you never speak English aloud, your vocabulary stays inside your mind instead of becoming part of your daily life. Speaking alone is not strange because it is simply a private gym for your English skills.
Let's imagine that we are taking a peaceful walk through a beautiful neighborhood filled with trees and colorful little houses. Instead of listening to random thoughts, we are going to describe everything we notice in simple, natural English sentences. This exercise turns an ordinary 10-minute walk into one of the easiest language lessons you will ever have.
I can see a small brown dog happily running across the grass while its owner smiles and follows behind slowly. The weather feels comfortable, the sky looks perfectly blue, and a gentle wind is moving the leaves above us. Without opening a single grammar book, we just practiced nouns, verbs, adjectives, and complete descriptions.
I always notice funny little details because they make conversations much more interesting and enjoyable for everyone listening. For example, one pigeon is walking with so much confidence that it honestly looks like the mayor of the park. Even the other birds seem to respect his important daily meetings near the fountain. Now, I want you to pause for a second and quietly look through the nearest window beside you today. Describe the first 3 things that catch your attention without worrying whether your sentences sound perfect or not. The goal is communication instead of perfection, because real conversations are never perfectly planned.
You might say that a red car is parked outside, 2 children are riding bicycles, and clouds are moving slowly. Every description teaches your brain to organize thoughts directly in English instead of translating from another language. That small change becomes incredibly powerful after weeks of consistent daily practice.
Many learners believe they need exciting topics every day, but ordinary life actually provides endless speaking opportunities. You can describe your breakfast, your clothes, your office, your family, or even your favorite chair at home. Simple topics repeated often create natural fluency, much faster than memorizing complicated speeches.
Yesterday, I spent 5 minutes explaining my refrigerator to myself and somehow enjoyed the conversation completely. I described vegetables, bottles, fruit, leftovers, and one mysterious container that nobody remembered putting there. Apparently, practicing English also helps you discover forgotten food hiding on the top shelf.
Let's talk about another habit that quietly improves listening and pronunciation at the same time every single day. Choose one short sentence from your favorite podcast and repeat it until your rhythm feels smooth and natural. Do not rush, because slow repetition creates stronger pronunciation than speaking quickly with uncertainty.
Listen carefully to this sentence and then repeat it using your own voice with confidence and a relaxed smile. I practice English every day because small habits create big results and make communication easier over time. Repeat it again until the sentence feels like something you would naturally say to a real friend.
Now, change one small part of the sentence instead of repeating exactly the same words over and over again. You could say that you practice every morning, every evening, or every weekend, depending on your routine. This simple game teaches flexibility and helps your brain create new sentences without fear.
Language learning should feel like playing with building blocks instead of carrying heavy boxes up a staircase forever. You pick one word, connect another word, and suddenly you have a completely new sentence ready to use. The more you play with English, the less frightening it becomes during real conversations.
Imagine that 6 months from now, you meet an international traveler who asks you a simple, friendly question. Instead of freezing and searching for words, you answer naturally because your daily practice prepared you quietly. That confidence was built inside your kitchen, your bedroom, your walks, and these podcast conversations.
People often underestimate 15 focused minutes because they compare them with long, exhausting study sessions every weekend. However, your brain remembers repeated experiences much better than rare moments of intense effort and frustration. Tiny habits become powerful because they show up every day instead of disappearing after one enthusiastic afternoon.
Before we continue, I want you to complete another small challenge that will only take 1 peaceful minute today. Describe the room around you using at least 5 complete English sentences without stopping to translate anything. Allow simple words to do the work, because clear communication always wins over complicated vocabulary.
You might say that a red car is parked outside, 2 children are riding bicycles, and clouds are moving slowly. Every description teaches your brain to organize thoughts directly in English instead of translating from another language. That small change becomes incredibly powerful after weeks of consistent daily practice.
Many learners believe they need exciting topics every day, but ordinary life actually provides endless speaking opportunities. You can describe your breakfast, your clothes, your office, your family, or even your favorite chair at home. Simple topics repeated often create natural fluency, much faster than memorizing complicated speeches.
Yesterday, I spent 5 minutes explaining my refrigerator to myself and somehow enjoyed the conversation completely. I described vegetables, bottles, fruit, leftovers, and one mysterious container that nobody remembered putting there. Apparently, practicing English also helps you discover forgotten food hiding on the top shelf.
Let's talk about another habit that quietly improves listening and pronunciation at the same time every single day. Choose one short sentence from your favorite podcast and repeat it until your rhythm feels smooth and natural. Do not rush, because slow repetition creates stronger pronunciation than speaking quickly with uncertainty.
Listen carefully to this sentence and then repeat it using your own voice with confidence and a relaxed smile. I practice English every day because small habits create big results and make communication easier over time. Repeat it again until the sentence feels like something you would naturally say to a real friend.
Now, change one small part of the sentence instead of repeating exactly the same words over and over again. You could say that you practice every morning, every evening, or every weekend, depending on your routine. This simple game teaches flexibility and helps your brain create new sentences without fear.
Language learning should feel like playing with building blocks instead of carrying heavy boxes up a staircase forever. You pick one word, connect another word, and suddenly you have a completely new sentence ready to use. The more you play with English, the less frightening it becomes during real conversations.
Imagine that 6 months from now, you meet an international traveler who asks you a simple, friendly question. Instead of freezing and searching for words, you answer naturally because your daily practice prepared you quietly. That confidence was built inside your kitchen, your bedroom, your walks, and these podcast conversations.
People often underestimate 15 focused minutes because they compare them with long, exhausting study sessions every weekend. However, your brain remembers repeated experiences much better than rare moments of intense effort and frustration. Tiny habits become powerful because they show up every day instead of disappearing after one enthusiastic afternoon.
Before we continue, I want you to complete another small challenge that will only take 1 peaceful minute today. Describe the room around you using at least 5 complete English sentences without stopping to translate anything. Allow simple words to do the work, because clear communication always wins over complicated vocabulary.
You might say that a red car is parked outside, 2 children are riding bicycles, and clouds are moving slowly. Every description teaches your brain to organize thoughts directly in English instead of translating from another language.
That small change becomes incredibly powerful after weeks of consistent daily practice.
Many learners believe they need exciting topics every day, but ordinary life actually provides endless speaking opportunities. You can describe your breakfast, your clothes, your office, your family, or even your favorite chair at home. Simple topics repeated often create natural fluency much faster than memorizing complicated speeches.
Yesterday, I spent 5 minutes explaining my refrigerator to myself and somehow enjoyed the conversation completely. I described vegetables, bottles, fruit, leftovers, and one mysterious container that nobody remembered putting there. Apparently, practicing English also helps you discover forgotten food hiding on the top.
Welcome back, my friends, because every conversation you complete today is another beautiful step towards speaking English naturally. You may not notice the progress immediately, but your brain is quietly connecting words and building confidence every minute. One day, you will surprise yourself by answering in English before you even realize you are thinking in English.
I want you to imagine walking into a small supermarket on a peaceful Saturday morning with absolutely no stress at all. Instead of pushing the shopping cart in complete silence, you decide to describe everything you see around you. Without noticing it, an ordinary shopping trip suddenly becomes one of the best English lessons of your week.
You might say that the apples look fresh, the bananas are perfectly yellow, and the bread smells wonderful today. You can compare prices, describe colors, count vegetables, and even guess what people might cook for dinner tonight. Every observation becomes another opportunity to practice real English instead of memorizing isolated vocabulary lists.
Whenever I visit a supermarket, I somehow spend 10 minutes deciding between two identical boxes of cereal every time. I read every label, compare every ingredient, and still walk out wondering if I made the right decision. At least my English improves while my breakfast choices become more and more complicated.
Now let's move from the supermarket to a quiet little cafe where people are talking softly and enjoying their drinks. Imagine sitting near a window while listening to gentle music and watching strangers smile during friendly conversations. This peaceful place is perfect for creating small English stories inside your imagination.
Look at the person reading a book and create a simple story about what they might be thinking today. Maybe they are preparing for an important exam, waiting for an old friend, or planning a long vacation abroad. Storytelling trains your vocabulary and creativity at the same time without feeling like traditional study.
Creating little stories is one of my favorite habits because there are no wrong answers or perfect endings required. You can invent funny characters, exciting adventures, or peaceful moments using only simple English sentences. Every story teaches your brain to connect ideas naturally instead of translating every word one by one.
Yesterday, I saw a cat sitting proudly outside a bakery and immediately imagined that it owned the entire business. In my story, the cat welcomed customers, inspected cakes, and refused to serve anyone wearing green socks. Sometimes imagination is the funniest English teacher you could ever possibly have.
Now let's practice another simple exercise that you can repeat tomorrow morning without needing any special materials at all. Walk into your room and pretend you are giving a friendly house tour to someone visiting from another country. Describe every object slowly and naturally as if your listener has never seen your home before.
This is my desk where I record podcasts, drink coffee, write ideas, and occasionally lose my favorite pen forever. Next to the desk is a comfortable chair that has supported every English lesson and every late-night creative project. Behind the window, you can see trees moving gently whenever the evening wind decides to visit the neighborhood.
Notice how simple those descriptions sound, because everyday English is built from useful sentences used repeatedly over time. You do not need difficult expressions when ordinary words already help people understand your message clearly. Fluency comes from using familiar language comfortably, instead of collecting complicated vocabulary you never actually use.
Here is another challenge that will make your 15-minute practice feel exciting instead of repetitive every single day. Choose one object and describe it differently every morning by changing colors, feelings, sizes, or personal memories. Your creativity will grow together with your vocabulary until speaking feels natural and enjoyable.
Consistency is like planting a tiny seed that quietly grows beneath the surface long before anyone notices the leaves. Every listening exercise, every spoken sentence, and every written note adds another drop of water to that seed. Months later, you suddenly realize that your confidence has grown into something much bigger than you imagined.
People often search for secret shortcuts while ignoring the simple habits that successful language learners repeat every day. The magic is not hidden inside expensive courses, but inside ordinary mornings where you choose practice over excuses. 15 focused minutes may look small today, yet they become hundreds of powerful hours across a single year.
Before we finish this part, I want everyone listening to make one quiet promise that only you need to hear. Promise yourself that tomorrow you will speak English for 15 minutes, even if you feel tired or unmotivated. Small promises kept consistently become powerful habits that quietly change the direction of your entire learning journey.
Remember that every confident English speaker once struggled with simple introductions, forgotten vocabulary, and nervous conversations too. The difference is that they continued practicing, while others waited for perfect conditions that never truly arrived. You already have everything you need to begin, because your voice, your imagination, and 15 minutes are enough.
Thank you for spending this time with us, because every episode is another conversation shared with learners around the world. Take a deep breath, smile proudly, and recognize that you practiced English instead of only thinking about practicing today. We will continue building your daily habit in the next part with even more speaking games and real-life conversations. Until we meet again, keep describing your world, keep creating little stories, and keep believing in your own progress. The road to fluency is not a giant leap, but thousands of tiny steps that become easier with every passing day. Have a wonderful day, stay curious, and we'll see you very soon on the next Easy English podcast.